So pros are scoring lower than ever on pretty much every course they play. So today we're going to be talking about the best style of course, both for the Pro Tour and for your local level, open versus wooded courses and private versus public. Let's get into it.
3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to HyzerCast episode 14. We are obviously not in the studio. Well, I am, but Joanna and Lou are joining me via Zoom.
Hey, Dave.
A little bit of scheduling issue, so we're going to get right into today's topic. What is going on, you two?
Just hanging here, trying to do this a little differently. I'm excited. This is episode 14. That means the last 10 episodes we put out were, a little bit more of our vision, and now this, very much different, not our normal situation, Joanna.
Right.
I think could agree this is different, but this also opens up, if we could pull it off today, new opportunities and new avenues for what we're going to do with HyzerCast. So I'm excited. This is cool.
Yeah, totally. I'm excited to be here too. I mean, look at us making it happen from afar. But yeah, like Lou said, I think this really can open us up to new opportunities and locations and maybe guests and other people. And yeah, like you said, open up the possibility. So I'm ready to get into it. Like you said, I think we've got a good lineup today of topics. So hopefully we can see each other enough and have a good play, because I think we love feeling that in the studio. So really hoping we can still have that sort of witty repartee with each other from afar.
Right. And you're
Oh,
saying
yes.
Locations too, because that's another thing. The ability to maybe take the podcast somewhere else, remote, whether it be live at an event. I think that's also an exciting thing. We talked about that, so that definitely opens us up for that.
Sure,
Yeah.
This will definitely be a test, see what we can do technically, and of course, how the rapport works between all of us. But we'll get right into our first topic. We're starting with public versus private courses. So obviously this conversation may go a little bit differently depending on if we're talking about the pro level or the local level. So let's try to distinguish between the two with our opinions. But let's start with just in general, public parks, right? So generally they're free or very cheap to play versus the private ones maybe are pay to play. So where do you guys see the advantages or disadvantages of each? We'll start with the local level of running local tournaments, playing casually, things like that.
Well, I would say I think we already did it. We already inhaled at the same time.
It's going to happen. Bear
But
with
you know
us,
what?
guys.
That
Sorry.
happens in real life too, so that's not a
Yeah.
surprise. But I think a big selling point of disc golf for beginners, people to get into it, is that it is free and it's open to the public and you can play, and that's awesome. Now, I think that is unique, to disc golf, to have this, an 18-hole course that's free and open, amazing. You can go up whenever you want. But that being said, when you're talking about tournament play or maintenance and certain levels of courses and things that you want on a course facility, the more you want, I think you really do need to go private so that you can truly create that disc golf experience from when you pull in to when you leave.
Sure, amenities, like a park's going to offer so much. Bathrooms, hopefully, running water, enough parking. Anything extra like playground or picnic area or camping grounds, I think are additures. Then, and the accessibility, I think, was something you were basically saying, right?
Yeah.
Just to go, the functionality of a disc golf course in a public park is that of a basketball court. It's just there. You don't need a jump ball time to go play basketball. It's there. You go shoot around, do what you want with it. And the same for disc golf. It's there in the public parks. It's great. But we could start to use our imaginations when we talk private courses, right, Dave? Because
Right.
a private course could offer what? Endless opportunities.
Imaginable, whatever you could think of, absolutely. And the pay model for that is a big distinction. It allows whatever the private course wants to put in, as long as it's affordable and within that budget.
Right.
I like the grandstands that they put in some of these courses now, like when the big tours come through.
Oh,
The very
Worlds,
scenic,
that was great.
from where the players are standing, the tee pads, the hardscapes, the flowers, just the rock work, the amount of detail that goes into just making a very scenic atmosphere. the ambiance, the ambiance. How do you say it,
Ambiance.
Joanna?
Yeah,
Help me out here.
you're on it. You're on it.
You got to get the French in there a little bit.
Oui, and
Not the accent.
but yeah. So, but the grandstands, I love the seating over by hole 18, and to stay with the French accent, not necessarily France, but the European Open has displayed disc golf
Good transition.
like very well. That's what I think private should look like all the time. Like you could go to your local course and shoot a hot round, and there's a grandstand. They're ready to give you a little placard for the day. That would be cool.
Great. That would be great.
That's what but that's what private does. It allows you to
Yeah.
open up your imagination for it to be something awesome.
Right. And when you have a Pro Tour event or, World, a major, you want to arrive at a course and feel like, I don't know, feel the gravitas of the grounds itself and say wow, okay, we're playing something important here. You're right. Okay, great. You go to the course, shoot a hot round. Woohoo, congrats. Okay, pat on the back. Nobody's there. It doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
but when you see that, it's important to have beautiful grounds and really reflect the situation and the tournament. Because I think it's so crazy when you see Pro Tour stops and you're like, oh, they're literally waiting for randos walking in the fairway. That's crazy. Or look at all these bike paths or things oh, we can't close this down because it is public. And it's tough because there are such beautiful and iconic courses that exist currently that are on public land. And, you really can't control a lot of the, variables there. And that gets really tough.
Fountain Hills in Arizona
Yes.
on a normal day is a very difficult course to play when you're trying to play the extended championship level layout that they have there. And it's only because the major events roll through that they put the extra signage up, the extra OB lines, and people know to keep a distance or a boundary.
Right.
And at one moment, Fountain Hills feels very private because the tour rolls through, but in a very public setting, it's a very difficult course to practice. Pros have been complaining about that for a long time. I wonder if now that there's tickets sold, that you have to be an attendant, with given a parameter of where you could stand, where you could be. I wonder if that's decongested the practice grounds for the players. It's been a little bit since I've been to a big event. I'm not going to lie. COVID has kind of taken that away. The last 2 years for me, everything's been tough to schedule and trust traveling to. So,
All right.
I wonder how the courses have been since selling tickets for admission have changed, and now designating the course to practice for only the players. I wonder how that's alleviated some of those stresses.
I think it
Interesting
probably
thought.
has quite a bit, and I think especially it has to do with the courses that they pick. I think, like you mentioned, Fountain Hills, that wasn't a regular Pro Tour stop this year. They played there. I think maybe it was a Silver Series. It wasn't the highest tier, whatever it was. Maybe because they couldn't close the course, whereas on these other courses that they're playing now, I think they can, and that's why they're selling tickets, and they do have full control over the actual park.
Yeah,
Hopefully, at least.
I think that's going to be a requirement moving forward. I mean, the Pro Tour needs to really have full control from the beginning to end of everything that's going to happen on their grounds. I think it just adds to the legitimacy of the sport and helps it grow. I mean, when you are going to set a standard for what an elite level tournament is, you really need to stick to that. And people will figure it out. More private courses will happen. People will say, okay, if we want to do this, we need to have the land. We need to put in a champion layout. What does that look like? And I think you'll just see in the next 5-10 years, we'll have a different looking Pro Tour.
Absolutely. And kind of on the same subject, did you guys watch any of the skins match at Eagles Crossing?
Yeah.
Speaking of private courses.
For sure.
Beautiful. Absolutely. I think down the road, like you said, maybe 5 years, that's where all the Pro Tour courses need to be. Tournaments need to be. Courses like that, where they have full control, maybe not necessarily spending millions and millions of dollars to make a disc golf dedicated land. It's nothing else. But places like that, like Maple Hill, where they do have the full control, it's a great high quality course, and there's not random other people walking around, riding bikes. Like Fountain Hill, you mentioned, I forget what hole it is. One of them, the one with the electric box right at the end, the out of bounds line is like a highway. Like, that just.
Right. And
that just
you know,
can't be done.
but you can't. And that event has been a staple to the start of the year for, you know.
It's a great course, great
before
event.
I've been playing, there's been championship.
Outgrown.
Right. It's being outgrown, and that's what, you know, the private course, something that is its own property, not a public property, could be an advantage. So these public courses could start to become a disadvantage to the major elite courses, where it could become challenging. Maybe not, you know, impossible, but
Yeah.
there are a lot of courses that are even local. I mean, not only just Maple Hill, that are totally investing back into their properties and what they offer. More are starting to do it. They're starting to see that is a possibility and it's worth doing. And definitely using the template from some of the great courses such as Maple Hill.
Yeah, I was going to say too, like, the difference also in maintenance. I mean, if you have a private course, you're going to have people on payroll, on staff to get out there and make sure it's mowed and manicured and looking beautiful, because people are paying to play. When you come, there's a standard and people expect it. If they're going to give you $5, $10, $15 for a round, you better believe that course needs to look perfect all the time. And, you know, shout out to everyone who does maintenance on local courses out of their passion and the goodness of their heart. I mean, you know, you hope the township or the county mows the grass, but guess what? All that rough maintenance, those are your volunteers. And I think, you know, they don't get enough love and appreciation, because people show up and they love to complain and they love to, you know, say, oh, why was this so thick? Why is this so that? Like, it's a lot.
The volunteers are the lifeblood.
They are
of
the lifeblood,
sport.
and it's a heavy lift. It's a heavy lift, and you have to be sure that those people feel appreciated and just know that it is their true passion and love to be out there doing it. But
and that's something that's really interesting, is like, this sport is like, it just, when you're around it, I guess it just wants to draw you in from so many different ways.
Yeah.
Even if it's on a volunteer level, you feel, like, disc golf just doesn't turn away in any way, shape, or form. When you're willing to put in the work to practice, you could be one of the top players in the world. That's every person who's ever picked up a disc has that option. You could do what we're doing. You could be in the just talk about it mode of disc golf right now, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, we're more than just this podcast.
we
but
play too, Lou. Come on.
Yeah, you know,
I'm never going to
some...
be a world champion, but, you know.
Well, not with that attitude.
That's true. That's true. That is absolutely true. Not with that attitude.
I'll work
you tell
on it.
him.
I'll get back to you.
Bite your head off.
So we talked a little bit about the pay-to-play model, right? Obviously, that has so many more advantages over the public, because it has the maintenance and you don't have to rely on these volunteers. But let's talk about, from a player perspective, going to a pay-to-play course. What do you guys feel like is a fair thing to pay for? And I think we talked about on a previous episode of what we would expect on a pay-to-play type thing, right? The amenities. But what about, like, the actual price point? What are you guys thinking that way?
What would you, Joanna? You could go first. What would you be willing to play to play disc golf at a private course? I defer.
You know, I'm not super sure. I think it would really depend on what the location offers, like what's there. If it's, are you paying for a tee time? Are you paying to be there all day?
I would hope there'd be tee times.
Like, is there...
I hope there'd be tee times.
No, but I mean, like, yeah, you would, like, register for a tee time, but does that give you access to the grounds for the whole day? Like, is there a restaurant? Is there a something? Is there a pro shop? Is there, like, what's there? You know, what kind of community is there? Like, that's a little interesting thing, because are you just going for a round? Are you going for a day trip? I don't know. If I'm like, okay, if it's $25 to go for the whole day and that gives you access to all the things, including a tee time, yeah, I would do that. But I mean, if it's just a course and there's like a little whatever hut there and says like, hi, here's your tee time, like sign in. I don't know. I think that's a very different, that's less bang for your buck, if you will.
Okay.
I don't know. What do you think?
So, if I just had to sum it up, just to think of what run-of-the-mill type disc golf course would be, where, there'd be a pay to play. I've heard $5, and I've paid tons of countless $5 courses where you just throw $5 in a box and you go out on the course, and the roughs aren't too bad, and there's nothing really in the fairway, and there's garbage being picked up, and it's just it's a course. And I'm glad someone put the time in for it to be there. So $5 is worth it at that level. If I have a 10 spot, I haven't shied from leaving the whole 10. But when you get into like some of these bigger courses that are trying to run it as a business, and the tee pads look like they can hold, or the course looks like it could host an Elite Series event, I would anticipate paying $20 a round. I think that would give you the amount of time like to warm up, maybe a warm-up net, some warm-up baskets for a half hour before your round. Like I said, I would anticipate a tee time for sure. I think that would help structure what's going on there too.
Oh yeah.
It would kind of rein in the cowboys of the sports of the sport. Yeah,
I don't know, it'd be fun watching
look,
Cowboys play disc golf.
if there's a pro shop or not, I think the pro shop would never turn away people wanting to buy snacks, food, or discs. I don't think you would have to gain any special access to that. I think that should be open all the time. But I mean, if we're talking something crazy like with a restaurant and like wicked cool golf cart, just something like we said, once it becomes private, like the sky's the limit.
Yeah, like dream big though. Like, I mean, what could you imagine?
I would pay $400 a month for something that's ridiculous. $500 a month, where I could be a member. I can have a private room where I could go to with private golfers who are members and shoot pool and watch TV, disc golf in a fire room, or somewhere where there's a fire, and that's the golfer's lounge where you could get drinks and beverages. And I think it would, like I said, golf carts, food. I think you would have vendors out on the back nine where you could get drinks and snacks and order dinner before you come in. I don't know. It works.
That's great.
But I would pay
love
at
it.
least $500 a month for that.
That'd be a lot. That would be something else. Some like the golf experience with disc golf. 4, 5, really depend on how close it is, how often I'm going to go. But I see what you're saying. You could definitely get up there to get all of that stuff.
Just straight old school wine and dine yourself.
It's funny because I asked the question. I was thinking like 5, 10, and Lou comes out, $500 a month. I'd pay. Let's do it.
For sure.
But I understand after you explain
I would probably anticipate that the club would be hosting some sort of league as well, where there's money included already. There would be like, would you say for $500 this course would have, on like the 18th hole, if you get the ace, you get the car, like a Tesla.
That's a lot.
Or is that $1,000?
Maybe close to $1,000, $2,000.
$1,000 a month. I'm in.
Maybe that would be like a once a year tournament, and whoever hits an ace on like New Year's Day or something like.
Hey, you gonna go play that tournament this summer or this New Year's? Would you say New Year's? All right, we'll start over. Hey, you gonna go play that New Year's tournament? Yeah, the entry fee is $1,000. It's an ace race. Whoever gets the most aces wins a Tesla.
That'd be great. Yeah, for $500, they might put like a Zuka card on the 18th hole.
Shout out to Elon Musk and Tesla for our new sponsorship. You can shop at Tesla.com for all your Tesla
Use code
needs.
Hyzer to get a free gift.
Hyzer. Oh, do you think Elon Musk would totally be into disc golf, like the physics behind it?
Oh, probably.
You know
like
what?
A super, like into the physics and stuff like that.
I bet. You know how we talked about like, what will the future of discs look like how far can we
Elon's
push it?
responsible.
Get him in here.
Talk to that guy.
He's got to figure it out.
All electric discs.
That's it. Tron.
Wow.
You have to
baby.
charge them. We'll
Tron,
need
baby.
actual disc chargers.
Yeah. For
disc
real,
golf
follow
on Mars.
flight.
Disc golf on Mars would be the
Imagine
ultimate
how far
technology.
this would fly in low gravity.
Absolutely. What do you think? Oh my God.
They just never stop.
Who do you think could do the math on that faster? Elon Musk or Neil Tyson DeGrasse, or what's his name?
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Probably Calvin Heimberg.
Not in the same order. Oh, Calvin. Yeah, Calvin's
Our
a
boy
physics major.
Calvin.
Physics major or
Chemical engineering?
chemical?
I'm not sure. It's something like that. Something that we're not doing on our daily basis.
True.
Shout out. Right.
Right. So, speaking of the private courses and what we'd like to see in
Well, you're not.
our
Wait.
private courses.
Joanna's
Wait,
laughing.
what?
You want to go back to chemical engineer
No,
talk?
no,
Or
it
we
was
have
funny.
enough?
It was just no. Keep going,
Hey,
Dave.
here's something. I'll talk chemical engineering. This is a shout out to Calvin Heimberg. I didn't know, like, not even 15 years ago, we discovered a new element. Is that real? Can we still keep finding elements? Is that like a never-ending thing?
Oh, probably, but we also just said we don't do this ever, so like we're not the people to ask.
Okay.
We
But
should
just,
get him on
yeah.
as a guest. We'll ask him.
Yeah.
I'm
Now we know how to
build up-
Zoom call. So,
Right. We're gonna build up our scientific questions for Calvin and just get him on
Rapid fire.
rapid fire,
why do
poking and
discs
prodding.
fly?
What? And I would just be like this, Calvin. I know you don't watch the show. What is the last element that was discovered? And he would spit it out, whatever the crap it is.
Uranium.
No.
That's not it.
I'm just naming the ones I know.
All right. Anyway, Dave, what were
So
you saying?
anyway,
Back to
so
the
we're talking
cast.
about the private courses, right? The
yeah.
biggest thing maybe for private courses over public courses is the ability to design it however you want, right? You're not tied down to where the existing trees and baseball fields and walking paths are. It's pretty much a blank slate, potentially. If you have private land, you're building a new course. And the design elements of a course, obviously, other than the shape of the fairways and things like that, tee pads, baskets, all these standardized things that we'd like to see, at least on the Pro Tour, and then eventually into private courses to play at local tournaments or casual rounds. So what would these standardized tee pads or baskets look like in your guys' opinions? What kind of main standard you would like to see if you went to a course that you were paying for and you show up and you see this?
Joanna, I need long tee pads.
All right. You can get them.
I'm not picking.
Pay to play.
I don't know what it takes for a basket to be standardized, but tee pads, if it was a long enough runway, so you're not dragging the mud up onto the tee pad when you're throwing, I think the long tee pad has a benefit to it.
Yeah.
More than just the run up. I think the overall hygiene of the tee pad is much better. My setup is not working here.
You all right over there?
Yeah, everything is just like so close. I'm not used to this.
It looks like you're opening one like a chest in a video game, and the light is just shining up in your face.
Wait. I found the viewer.
Ah!
There's our one viewer.
Oh,
Beautiful.
gosh.
There's a few of you out there, and we appreciate it. And listeners, thank you very much for listening.
But yeah.
how about go ahead, Joanna.
T-pads, no, I agree. I think length needs to be standardized. At least if it's not going to be exact dimensions, you need a range. Length and width from this to
12 to
this
14
is
feet.
the only acceptable sizing. And if your course does not have that, you will not have an Elite Series event. I mean, I know that would be tough. There would need to be a lot of edits to places, but I think that's important. Now, the material of the T-pad itself, I mean, we've seen some drama this season already with materials on T-pads, like Paul Beth in the playoff. He was like, it came off the ground and his foot didn't, he didn't fully plant because the ground moved beneath his foot. So, I mean, what would we want there? I would say maybe turf, but that also has to be maintained. I mean, maybe the, what do you call that? Like that rougher concrete? Not the flat, the
textured kind of style concrete.
Yeah.
Lou, you probably know what it's actually called.
I also like pavers too. I think they're pretty great. As long as there's nothing like growing in the middle of them.
Right. And the brushing that you would do on the concrete would be the ultimate texture that would be left on the tee pad.
Right.
That's concrete that would give you, good grip. You wouldn't want a smooth concrete tee pad. That would be treacherous.
No. I didn't know if there was like a specific name for that. Like, because you know what I'm talking about, though.
I do, and I don't. And if there is,
I
someone
do and
leave
I
the comments
don't.
below. I don't know if there is, but it's just it's a final step in terms of how you're gonna leave that surface textured.
Right.
It's probably called something, and it's probably an exact process. But I like that surface, and I like paver tee pads as long as the pavers are porous, very porous. If they're too compact and sandy and smooth, they fill real easily with mud. and then they become slippery and feeling very flat and slick. So we've picked good pavers for our courses because they've been very porous. So those two are my favorite. If not, I'll do crushed stone, but we can't have that for the Pro Tour.
No,
Right.
I would generally say like nothing that I'm thinking on a higher standard, right? Not just like, if we were to do something in the backyard, but like
Sure.
not something that staples into something else. Like nothing thin, like nothing that could really move with force too much. I mean,
Yeah.
because when you think
No
about that,
one's-
it's like, what do you need that surface to be? You need it to be grippy,
like-
solid, and immobile, I guess? Because like that's the last thing you want to do is worry about something coming out from underneath your feet.
Right. I don't know if these are necessarily considered disc golf grade made. They're just materials put together that are being tried in the sport in a way.
Yeah.
And I think if you could build, I think there's companies, I think there's products out there where you could build really good tee pads, and did you know how much material they have to pour on top of those tee pads, those artificial grass ones? Like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds of sand, hundreds
Oh.
of pounds of like rubber
The
material on
little
top of it.
beads and stuff.
Well, that's
Not like-
maintenance
and-
too. You have to like rake it through and make sure, even
Right.
after
Right.
the people
And-
throwing, like that it's
And
still
if
the same.
and I'm just thinking, like, if somebody like stapled like a cheaper version of an artificial grass to like a piece of plywood underneath, and you go to like step, it would the whole thing would twist and torque maybe and grab your foot funny. So
I think that's probably what happened to Paul in the last tournament.
maybe
That's what it
found
looked
a
like.
and I'm not gonna down talk anybody's building of a tee pad. I wouldn't know, but maybe he just caught a part that was dry, didn't have the right finish to it, or something, and maybe that happens.
Yeah.
Maybe somewhere had wear, or who knows. But I would think that concrete would be the way to go. It would be the easiest way for standardizing, but I don't know.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe it hasn't even been invented yet. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe there's a new design that someone will dream up. In having these discussions with other, designers and put their heads together and come up with a really great final product that will be the industry standard.
What if it was something like a clay tennis court material? What about that? That's probably one of the most expensive ways to do it. And
That
I haven't
sounds
really
awesome.
seen it, but I was just trying to think of
That
other
sounds
sports.
freaking awesome.
Right. The only kind of other sport I could think of that you're doing quick, short motion where you need good grip and obviously a solid foundation is tennis. So that kind
Yeah.
of court material seems like it could work.
I wonder what it's like when it's wet. I really don't know.
It feels really grippy. It feels like grip tape, like on a skateboard. Depending on obviously what kind. There's the clay. There's
Right, because there's very little
Grass, there's, like, different-
aggregate in it. It's more of a
Right.
gravel or a stucco. It's finer. It's
Yeah.
like
Or maybe if they could make like a higher grit version of it for disc golf, something like that, that might be something that could work for courses.
Ooh,
interesting.
heard it here
We're gonna invent it.
first.
Yep, we're going to invent it. You heard it.
Trademark.
Yep, intellectual property. But let's move over into a little bit different topic, but similar. Wooded versus open or mixed versions of courses or holes. Talking about kind of the preference of what we think an ideal course
Ooh,
would be. And this
freebie
would be
conversation.
both local and kind of on the Pro Tour.
So is this like what our favorite types of shots on courses are, or what our favorite holes look like, and then
Sure, yeah.
also
Like,
on the
what
Pro
do you
Tour?
think? Like, you would like, or what should be not a standard, but moving forward for the growth of the sport, what would be more prevalent for like new courses or courses moving designs towards?
I think courses with good mix will always work. That's always going to be agreed upon by most people. Maybe the first words they say is, "Hey, what makes a good course?" Period would be a good mix of wooded and open holes. So, I would just say with that, maybe not doing 9 holes straight open and 9 holes wooded. Other than that, just keep the good mix, left and right, up and down, straights. Don't forget about the straight shots. And play with distances. Don't forget your dog legs. If you got water, use it. And if you could ever help to get back to the parking lot after 9 and start your back there, that's always an added bonus. Remember flow. And now, that's every course. If we're talking an elite series and filming and all that stuff, you need a grand course. When you're talking the woods, you need big space, big fairways.
Yeah.
You don't want to see these dog legs around these 230 foot, 280 foot holes all day. That's just not going to look good or appealing to anybody. So just if we're going to talk the difference between your everyday course or any course, and then to something on a pro or a pay-to-play bigger level, you just need that on a grander level, as big as you can make it. Let's go through the redwoods. Let's play right through the redwoods. Yeah.
Room for spectators, maybe cameras. That would be really interesting playing in the redwood forest, honestly. I don't know if there's any courses there, but that would be amazing. Your only obstacle is just one big tree in the middle, and you got to go a half a mile around it.
What are those really floppy discs that they make that couldn't hurt a fly?
The koi?
Yeah, we should go take one of those on a road trip to the redwood and just go throw through them, see what happens.
Not to damage them. Use nice soft
Can't hurt them.
Like an aerobie ring that bends all the way over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Lou, about a mix of holes. I mean, I think those make the most interesting courses and really test all parts of your game. I think that's what you want. I think that's what you would want to see on the Pro Tour level. I mean, look, there have been a lot of just open courses, and what's the feedback from the watcher? This is boring. Okay, you may be throwing 550, but no one cares after a while. It just gets boring.
Right.
I mean,
HyzerFast.
yeah,
boring.
Okay, or just but also I think the look of an open course with a lot of man-made OB lines gets monotonous again to watch, and kind of all right, I love to see natural OB and natural hazard. Yeah, there may be no OB lines on this course, but if you're in that rough, you're out of bounds. You're at there's no way. You're not getting to the pin from there. And I think that's what makes it interesting. When you are really in the elements and needing to face those. So, but yeah, I agree, Lou, with the same of not 9 open and then 9 in the woods. 2 start with 3 wooded holes, 2 open. If you can, of course, depending on what the space looks like. Right. And I think when you're designing a course for a championship level, an elite series, you got to think about holes 16, 17, and 18, what they do, how the scoring separation is going to be, because you need a big finish. If you have, easy birdie, no one cares. You need to bring the drama in your course design, and it needs to be reflected in at least the final 3 holes. And I think you don't want to start hole 1 with a dinky shot. It has to be a shot that people are going to throw. There's not going to be a layup. There's not going to be super crazy penalties. Let the fans cheer and let them see a great drive, and then start the grind maybe after that. But also,
DDO seemed like a horrible first hole.
Yeah.
Everybody was laying up 100-foot throw and still going out of bounds.
I was watching that and I'm like, what is this? They're and then everyone's like, yay! And they go to throw and you're like, oh God. Okay, I guess they started their round. Congrats, guys. Maybe you got off the tee.
They walk 30 feet and they throw again.
Yeah, but
there was a lot of positivity though. There's a lot of positivity during that entire event. I seen so many applauses to bad shots. I'm
they knew how hard it was.
I know, but
imagine
it's still
finally
funny to see. That first hole. Really?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be, it's a great hole. It just, I don't think, like you were saying, it's not a great first hole.
Yeah, I don't know. And I'm with you there, Dave, when you were room for spectators in the woods. That's so hard because you want to have a course that challenges the players, and that's interesting to watch. But you're right. How do you get people down there?
And there's lots of courses that I think within a single hole, there's both a mix of open and wooded. They're throwing from the woods out into the open, or vice versa, where there is room to either watch a tee shot or watch some come out of the woods near the basket. And I think more of those on courses might be a great in between for spectators, but then also you get the wooded shot type thing.
Yeah.
So that's going to do it for episode 14.
Ooh.
Thank you all for watching and bearing with us out of the studio. Well, I'm in the studio, but these guys will be joining us pretty soon. Appreciate you all for watching. I was looking at the wrong camera, sorry.
Plastic.
We will be back. Plastic. We will be back on the next episode. If you're listening, leave us a review. And if you're watching, subscribe to our channel. And until next time, we'll see you next hole.